Koinu near China and Bolaven is soon to intensify on tonight's tropical weather bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Your tropical weather bulletin for October the 8th. So then, there are currently 3 systems active around the world: Tropical Storm Lydia in the Eastern Pacific, Typhoon Koinu in the Western Pacific, and Tropical Storm Bolaven recently named inside the Western Pacific. This now brings our total up to 64 storms this year that have been named, and we are currently code orange. So then, it is day 130 of Atlantic hurricane season, and we currently have one area of interest just off the coast of Africa, which we currently have a 70% chance for in the next 5 days, and this could develop very soon. Anyway, in the Eastern Pacific is day 146 of hurricane season, and we currently have Tropical Storm Lydia, which will curve to the northeast as it strengthens, and Invest 99E, which we now currently have a 90% chance, which is heading to the northwest. In the Western Pacific, we currently have 2 active tropical systems: Typhoon Koinu, just off of China, and Tropical Storm Bolaven, which is expected to intensify in the coming days, and Invest 97W, which we have put as a 10% formation chance in the 5 days. And in the North Indian, it is quiet, and will stay quiet for the next 5 days. There is no areas of interest here that we have marked, and no officials have marked any areas of interest either. So then, moving on to the satellite imagery, which will pop up in a second. There we go. We currently have Koinu. As you can see, the eye is slowly decreasing. It's now a category 1. This was from a couple of hours ago, however the eye is definitely losing its appearance and circularity. And it's just chilling off the coast of China. Lydia, as you can see here, is definitely getting some more rotation in, some low level circulation, and can rapidly intensify, which is what a lot of models are saying it will do. And here is Bolaven. As you can see here, it is now a tropical storm. It was named not too long ago. It doesn't have full tropical characteristics yet, however it is definitely got some circulation there, and models are expecting this system to also intensify in the coming days. So the computer models are here. The Atlantic, you can see that area of interest that is coming off of Africa, which develops very slowly there, and will pick up pace a bit more, and will eventually become a tropical storm, a low end tropical storm, and will intensify a bit more to possibly a hurricane up there. Maybe it just doesn't make that mark, a high end tropical storm possibly there, but yeah, it will keep that northwesterly direction for its path and will intensify as it moves. Lydia, as you can see here in the Eastern Pacific, will intensify before it hits landfall and will slam straight into the west coast of Mexico before then moving inland and disintegrating. You can also see here 99E, which develops just off the coast of Mexico. You'll be able to see it any second there, and then also makes landfall in Mexico and then disintegrating to the Rocky Mountains in Mexico. But that is all for the Eastern Pacific for these model runs. The Western Pacific shows this: Koinu sits by China and dies off, however Bolaven intensifies very rapidly. As you can see, picking up pace and intensifying quite quickly as it moves northwest, and then will move northeast as it gets pulled away. But Bolaven definitely has a strong life ahead of itself and will intensify quite quickly, as you can see there on the computer models. In the longer range, it looks like this. In the Western Pacific, you just saw Bolaven there. We can see it again as it heads northeast, and it gets pulled away before it then maintains a strong strength for a while before it then gets pulled off into an extratropical cyclone and then into a low there and just completely drifts off. We can see it here as the camera pans. It maintains a strong strength for a while before then getting pulled off to the northeast, as you can see there, and then heading up towards Russia. You can get animations on the Force 13 store, seasonal and track animations, and you can also get hoodies and pillows, which Nathan is about to throw at me, as you can see here. The silly range looks like this. So in the Eastern Pacific, nothing actually occurs for a few days, but you can see a band that comes straight through Mexico, as you can see there, entering the Eastern Pacific, and then very quickly spins up into a tropical system, and then rapidly intensifies, as you can see here, to a very strong hurricane. That was no time at all. It definitely did that in a couple of hours to days. It really quickly intensified there on the Scilly Range, and that is all we have for the Scilly Range, just this East Pac system that explosively intensifies into a very strong hurricane there. So sea surface temperatures in the Atlantic look like this. You can see very warm across the main development region and in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. In the Eastern Pacific, you can see some very warm hot pockets just off the coast of Mexico there and along to the Baja California Peninsula. And in the Western Pacific, you can see a lot of warm oceans here around the Philippines, and especially down there to the bottom right. And in the North Indian is relatively warm in most areas of the North Indian Ocean, quite warm inside the Bay of Bengal, and the rest of the ocean looking relatively warm. The oceanic heat content inside the Atlantic looks like this. The Caribbean is packed with heat content, as you can see, some very likelihood for storms developing there, and some decent pockets inside the Gulf of Mexico and around the Bahamas, and some inside the main development region. In the Pacific, you can see a lot inside the Western Pacific, southern down by Bolaven, and some off the coast of the Philippines as well. And in the South Pacific, you can see some dripping down from the equator into the South Pacific, but not too much, as obviously we wouldn't see too much at this time of year. So then on this day is October 8th, 2001, we have Hurricane Iris, as you can see, almost peaking and almost at landfall. As you can see, its imagery there. We have Tropical Storm Jerry, that's just past the Lesser Antilles, and Typhoon Crosa, which is a Category 1 in the Western Pacific, out to sea, luckily far away from land, unlike Iris here, which is soon to make a landfall at this point, as a Category 4, a couple of hours away from peak intensity. And that is all for on this day, October 8th, 2001. So then, the next name inside the Atlantic is Sean, followed by Tammy, and in the Eastern Pacific it is Max, followed by Norma, and in the Central Pacific it is Hone, code orange. In the Western Pacific, the next name is Sanba, followed by Jelawat, and in the North Indian it is Tej. 64 storms this year, and an average of 92. And in the Southern Hemisphere, as you can see, the next name on the Australian region is Jasper, followed by Kirali. In the Southwest Indian is Alvaro, followed by Balal and Candice. And in the South Pacific it is Lola, followed by Mal and Nat.